The summer of 1977 in the quiet suburb of Elmsdale, Pennsylvania, started off like any other. The days were long and warm, filled with the scent of cut grass and the buzz of cicadas. But for the Harrington family, that summer would mark the beginning of something unimaginable, something that would etch their names into the lore of American paranormal history. It would become one of the most documented cases of supernatural activity in the country. And for those who lived through it, it was not a ghost story, it was their life. Sarah Harrington, a single mother of 4, had just moved into the modest 2-story house on Maple Lane. Life hadn't been easy after her husband, Greg, walked out on the family a year prior. Left with mounting bills and 4 children, Anna, age 13, Tommy, 11, Claire, 9, and baby Eric, Sarah saw the old rental as a new start. The house wasn't perfect. The floors creaked, the basement had a strange odor, and the radiators made unsettling noises at night. But it was a roof over their heads. For the first few days, life resumed normally. The kids settled into their rooms, and Sarah began to fill the house with the warmth of home. It was Anna who first noticed something odd. On a rainy Thursday evening, as she was about to drift off to sleep, her dresser began to rattle. She thought it was thunder or maybe wind against the old windows. But when the dresser actually shifted an inch across the wooden floor, she bolted out of bed. Sarah chalked it up to an overactive imagination. "You've been reading too many ghost stories," she said, brushing Anna's concerns aside. But that night, Sarah was awoken by a loud crash downstairs. She hurried to the living room, only to find the coffee table flipped over and the TV turned on, playing nothing but static. Over the next week, the disturbances escalated. Doors opened on their own. Lights flickered. Strange tapping noises echoed through the walls, following a pattern, almost like Morse code. Then Tommy began waking up with scratches on his arms and legs. Claire complained about whispers in her room, saying someone kept calling her name from the closet. Sarah started to believe her children. Something was deeply wrong with the house. Word of the disturbances spread to neighbors and eventually reached Pastor Michael Shaw, a local minister who also had experience dealing with alleged hauntings. He visited the house, said prayers, and sprinkled holy water in each room. First, things seemed to calm down. But 2 nights later, as the family was eating dinner, the kitchen cabinet doors flew open simultaneously, sending plates and glasses crashing to the floor. That same night, Anna levitated from her bed. Tommy screamed as he watched his sister rise 3 feet in the air. Eyes rolled back, arms rigid. Sarah rushed into the room, and as soon as she entered, Anna dropped onto the mattress, sobbing. Terrified and out of options, Sarah contacted the local police. Officer James Holloway and his partner, Maria Duran, arrived the next morning. Though skeptical, they agreed to walk through the house. In the living room, they claimed to witness a chair slide across the floor without anyone touching it. Duran even signed an affidavit describing what she saw. The case made its way into the local paper, drawing attention from paranormal investigators. A week later, 2 American researchers, Ed and Lorraine Mitchell, both prominent figures in the paranormal field, arrived in Elmsdale. They had heard about the case through a mutual contact and wanted to investigate personally. Ed, a self-described demonologist, and Lorraine, a clairvoyant and medium, had documented dozens of hauntings across the country. From the moment they entered the Harrington home, Lorraine said she felt a powerful malevolent presence. Over the course of several weeks, the Mitchells conducted investigations with recording equipment, motion sensors, and infrared cameras. They captured strange knocking sounds responding to questions, cold spots that would suddenly form in warm rooms, and even disembodied voices caught on tape. In one chilling recording, a guttural voice claimed, "This is my home. They can't stay." Lorraine said the spirit was not a ghost, but something darker, something non-human. The epicenter of the activity seemed to be Anna. Objects would move when she was nearby. She would speak in voices not her own. At one point, she claimed the entity called itself Charles, a former tenant who had died violently in the house decades ago. But when Ed dug through town records, He found no record of a Charles ever living at that address. However, there was a report from 1943 of a man named Everett Lynch, who had killed his wife and then himself in a nearby house, one that was torn down long ago. Some believed Everett's spirit had latched onto the land and now haunted the house that stood in its place. The media frenzy grew. Reporters camped outside the house. Paranormal enthusiasts drove from neighboring states to catch a glimpse. The family, already fragile from the trauma, struggled with the attention. Sarah tried to keep things together, but the stress was overwhelming. Anna began to withdraw completely, barely eating, barely sleeping. At one point, she was admitted to a psychiatric clinic for evaluation. The doctors couldn't explain her symptoms. One psychiatrist noted her behavior matched documented cases of trauma, but her physical symptoms, like the bruises and the voice changes, remained a mystery. Then, almost as quickly as it started, the activity stopped. No more voices. No more levitations. The house went silent. The Mitchells believed the entity had either moved on or was dormant, lying in wait. Sarah, having had enough, moved her family into a new home 2 towns over. She never returned to Maple Lane. Years passed. The children grew up, moved away, started families of their own. Anna eventually became a teacher, though she rarely spoke of the summer of 1977. That chapter of her life remained locked away, too painful and confusing to revisit. Sarah died in 2004, still insisting everything they experienced was real. "I didn't make it up," she told a local reporter in her final interview. "We lived through hell. Anyone who says otherwise didn't see what we saw." The Enfield Poltergeist, as it came to be called, named after the original township where Elmsdale was once a borough, remains one of the most controversial paranormal cases in American history. Skeptics claim it was a hoax or the result of psychological stress. But believers argue the evidence, the photos, recordings, eyewitness accounts, paints a different story. A story of a family tormented by something unseen, something that defied logic and science. To this day, the house on Maple Lane still stands. The current owners report no unusual activity. It's just a house, they say, quiet, peaceful, ordinary. But those who know the story remember what once took place behind its walls. They remember the voices, the levitations, the night terrors. And they know that just because something is quiet, doesn't mean it's gone. Some nights, if you walk past that house under a pale moon and the wind is just right, you might hear a soft knock echo through the stillness. 3 times. Then silence. Maybe it's nothing. Or maybe, just maybe, something is waiting to be heard again.